Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, Funkhauser, do you have that audio from the Milo Yiannopoulos event? Like the people sort of like throwing Molotov cocktails and whatnot. Do you have a little bit of that?
No.
Oh, well,
I did before the show. I closed it.
No. See if you can't get it back while I chit-chat about what's been going on. But Milo Yiannopoulos, the event that that guy had at UC Berkeley was canceled after. Now, this is an interesting this is an interesting word that's going to be hotly debated around this until the next thing comes along. Protests. I believe, what does it say here? The CNN said pepper spraying random people being interviewed by news crews, busting windows, shooting fireworks, throwing Molotov cocktails, and toppling light posts are hardly protests. Of course, the university is blaming 150 masked agitators. Yeah, when you're throwing burning bomb type things and you're spraying pepper spray at people, calling yourself an agitator. No, that's essentially rioting is what that is. Wouldn't you say that? Isn't that rioting, Funkhauser?
Yeah. You want to go to the tape? Let's go to the tape.
Okay. Oh, we found it?
It is
Good.
indeed the case. We don't really have a protocol for this. I don't know if it was a fatality or not. Until I do know that, my suggestion is that the show should go on.
All right, that's good. At least 6 people were injured. Rioters tore down metal barriers, set fires near the campus bookstore, damaged the construction site of a new dorm. One woman wearing a red Trump hat was pepper sprayed in the face while being interviewed by a local news crew. Protesters said that Milo's event isn't free speech because he espouses hate speech, which isn't protected speech. Do you know much about this Milo Yiannopoulos dude, Funkhauser?
No, I just know that he trends a lot and says some really angry things.
All right. He is what if we were willing to utterly sell out, he is what we would be. In that he does not in any way, shape, or form fit, I guess, what you would call the ideal of the extreme right or the alt-right. There's so many names being bandied around. Basically, he's sort of like Ann Coulter. You know, he basically comes up with the most incendiary thing he can possibly think of, says it, and bazinga, his price for speaking at places like this will go up. He's an editor over at Breitbart, I think. He's sort of like this one guy is basically turned trolling. He's an Olympic-level troll is what he is. And what's really, really interesting is that, again, people came to me early on when we started doing talk radio and was like, okay, you're kind of like this rocker sort of skateboardy looking dude. If you could, in the way you speak and the way you do things, go really hard right wing, you'd be a millionaire in no time because you are the exact opposite of everything that people expect this to be. But if you could be funny and if you could be extremely right wing and you could be the cool kind of hip right wing dude, man, you'd be made. And I was like, I'm sorry, I got to stop you right there. I'm incapable of selling out my principles in that way. And it's not like I don't lean right on a whole bunch of stuff. It's just I cannot widen a divide and profit off of it and put my head down at night and go to sleep thinking everything is okay with the world. I just can't. Now, if you talk to the Milo Yiannopoulos of this world that do this kind of thing, do we have some Milo Yiannopoulos quotes, Funkhauser, for people that aren't familiar with his work?
Hillary has some quotes. You want to hear hers?
Well, it comes from it's not exactly the most trusted source. Hold on one second. What did he, women don't work as hard. He goes after feminism a lot. What was that thing he said about, feminism and cancer? Like, would you rather your daughter, rape culture and Harry Potter are both fantasy?
Birth control makes women unattractive and crazy. Would you rather your child had feminism or cancer?
He said equality matters, but since no one cares about reducing the number of male suicides, how do we get those female numbers up? He is openly gay, but he has encouraged gay people to get back in the closet. I think he's anti-gay marriage. I don't know a ton about him, but you take a quick look at him and you can spot his game a mile off. It's the same as the Ann Coulters of the world. They sit around constructing the most incendiary comment they possibly can, knowing that their speaking price will go up. And here's the thing. Because of some of the things he says being determined to be hate speech, people rioted at an appearance he was supposed to be having last night at UC Berkeley. And we'll get into more of this because it's very, very interesting, the precedent it sets next. Let's start the show.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So, people rioted yesterday at the Milo Yiannopoulos thing at UC Berkeley. And you know what? I think 6 people were injured. I don't think anybody died. But there was talk that maybe that would have happened, that could have happened. And man, Yiannopoulos is off to the races now. Like this is good press for somebody that suckles at the teat of controversy the way he does. Like, wow, he dropped so many truth bombs that people actually want to bomb him or something. I think people have gone absolutely nuts with this. Now, I will tell you exactly why I'm on this guy's side. After we establish why that makes no sense whatsoever, seemingly on the surface of things. He's this dude, like, he's made big bucks off of coming to America. It's like the classic, what the hell, how come all these reality show guys are English and telling us we suck at things? Gordon Ramsay comes here, tells us we can't sing, can't cook. Simon Cowell comes here and tells us we can't sing. And Milo Yiannopoulos comes here and says we don't know how to run a country. And he's a 32-year-old guy from England. What the hell? How has he managed to rise to the top of the heap of commentators on America when he was raised in Kent in southern England? His dad's Greek, his mom's English. He, I think, is half Catholic, half Jewish. And it's interesting because he embraces his Jewish Jewish heritage, and that puts him kind of at odds with the neo-Nazi elements of the alt-right. He was a guy, he went to the University of Manchester, he dropped out without graduating, and he is like a lot of these folks. He's like a lot of these folks that make a living off of this stuff. If you are, and we've said it before, I'll say it again, if you are someone that wants to be in the limelight, you want to be famous, you want star power, you want people to know your name and recognize you in the street, and you want everything that goes with that. Well, generally speaking, you got to have something pretty palpable to offer the world. But if you can't sing, can't write a song, are not necessarily an actor, if you are incapable of really writing anything that, ignites the old synapses, then politics, that's a good move. And by the way, he published books of poetry, but he was kind of lit up because he took lines from music and TV without attribution. He brushed it off as satire, but you can't take somebody's song lyrics, put them in your book of poetry, and not make some sort of like professional reference to the fact that you can't have a footnote. You can't do that without paying people. So his writing career was brief and largely based around plagiarism, from what I understand. But like I said, if you can't sing, if you can't write, if you can't act, if you have nothing of artistic or entertainment value to offer the world, well, politics, that's a great way to get moving. We see it all the time. We were talking about Newt, old Newt Gingrich. Like that guy's that guy, his entire political career, he's been on a book tour. And that's essentially what Milo Yiannopoulos does. And look, this is the same on the left, the right. There are people that fall into the category of public servants. There are people that do these sort of things out of legitimate public concern. And then there's people that are really just there to make a buck and have a little fun. And I don't know what it is. But like guys like Milo Yiannopoulos and girls like Ann Coulter, if you talk to them about what they do, they'll tell you, "Oh, this is satire. This is kind of a goof to me. This is picture me as the right's Jon Stewart." Like I think Ann Coulter has said on multiple occasions that she considers herself to be the Jon Stewart of the right, something like that. And the problem arises where you get sort of like an in-depth realization of the fact that your brand of comedy, your brand of satire isn't really, really doing much for anybody. So therefore, if you dig into people's basest emotions of division, if you dig into people's basest emotions of telling them that they're right and everyone around them is wrong and that it's your way or the highway, if you get into the business of saying the most inflammatory thing you can possibly say, like, would you rather your daughter has feminism or cancer, or I'm all in favor of of equality, but seeing as we can't get male suicide rates down, can we do anything about getting female suicide rates up? You are, like I said, an Olympic-level troll. And it's not something I respect. It's not something that I dig. It's not something that I think is good for anybody other than the practitioner of it. Like, they're riding that one all the way to the bank. They can ride people's hatred and ignorance and desire to never reach out to anybody that is not exactly like themselves all the way to the bank. There are big, big dollars to be made from division in so many ways. And so I find it to be just something I don't relate to, something that I find to be reprehensible, something that it's wrong. It's bad. For me, I just could never do it. I was offered a chance to do it, could not do it. Can't sell myself out that way. Will not drive as nice of a car as Milo Yiannopoulos, will not live in as big of a house as Ann Coulter, but you got to know where your own personal line in the sand is. You got to know where your moral compass's true north is and go, no, that's a horrible way to make a living. I will not be doing that. That said, I 100 million % support his ability to walk into a place like UC Berkeley and speak. Look, is it hate speech or is it satire? I don't know. But I do know this, though. We have freedom of speech in this country. To suppress free speech is a double wrong. It violates the rights of the hearer as well as those of the speaker. You cannot suppress a Milo Yiannopoulos by throwing a Molotov cocktail. That will only add to his legend.
So hang it up, just give it up. It's time somebody lets you know that you will never be good enough.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on.
You know, I was just giving Milo Yiannopoulos a hard time for not correctly attributing the lyrics that he used in his books of poetry to the musicians he stole them from. And I don't know if did I say Frederick Douglass after that quote, Funkhauser?
I was clicking buttons, probably.
Well, let me just do it again in case I did not. To suppress free speech is a double wrong. It violates the rights of the hearer as well as those of the speaker. Frederick Douglass. There you go. See, that's all it takes, Milo. Just a little 2 seconds of your time. Free speech. When was the First Amendment? When did the First Amendment become a thing? Funkhauser? Any idea?
Put me to work today.
Yeah.
Well, since it was the first one, I'd probably say
early.
1776.
No. Hold on a second. What is guaranteed by the... Anyways, First Amendment being the first one is old. It's old. Funkhauser, if you could look that up while I talk about the First Amendment.
1776.
Yeah, okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, come on.
I mean, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? wow, they amended things quickly. They didn't at least let it ride for a year and see how it played out without people having free speech.
Well, I'm not a history
Couldn't we
buff,
make it to
but
1777 and get a good sort of like sample size of whether or not we think... Do you think there should still be free speech, Funkhauser? I mean, look,
What kind of
free
question is
speech.
that?
1776, you could say anything that you wanted to in the streets, and, it was limited to you and the person that you said it to, or maybe as loud as you can shout. That was as far as free speech carried. Now, anybody with an internet connection and a Twitter account can really F up the program and do some real damage to humanity. I think there should be free speech, but only free for me, and I should be able to decide who does and does not have it. I think that sounds fair. I think that sounds right. That's the problem with equality. That's a problem with free speech. That's the problem with the idea of democracy. It's messy, and everybody has to have access to it. And you know what? The times change, but the amendment doesn't. And we are in an interesting situation where technology has developed, the spread of information has developed to a point where a lot of people question whether or not the ethics that are necessary to deal with this technology, the ethics, the sense of moral responsibility, the sense of judgment, are our human brains able to keep up with it? I don't know. I do know this, though. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how messy or sticky it gets. Doesn't matter how much damage people can... Doesn't matter how much damage and havoc people can wreak on the right or the left. Doesn't matter how people are dividing other folks. Free speech is such an important part of what we do. And to go and bomb, to go and firebomb the Molotov cocktail, a Milo Yiannopoulos event. Like I said, what the hell are you thinking? Like, at what point did, you hate his intolerance, so you double down on intolerance by, well, we don't like what you said. Well, it's his right to say it. Yeah, but, we're into equality, except when it comes to this guy being able to talk, so we're going to throw stuff at him. We're going to pepper spray his fans. No. It's just as absolutely, if you think that folks like that are completely despicable, deplorable, whatever you want to apply to that situation, if you think they are alt-right Nazi types, if you think they hate freedom and they're racist, you might be right. But when you go throwing stuff at them for having an opinion, you're not doing a whole lot better. You're really not doing a whole lot better, are you? And that's why it's so absolutely contradictory. And I would absolutely... Maybe I'm becoming the talk radio Gandhi, but the idea of violence in this situation, you want to protest peacefully, you're going to make your point a lot better than if you're a bunch of complete thugs that roll through, beat people up, and throw Molotov cocktails at them because you can't take what this guy tweets on a regular basis. Am I making sense? Am I speaking to myself? Is this getting through? I just don't understand. I don't understand why anybody would rise to violence. Words beget violence all the time. It's as old as the hills. You can say something about somebody's mom and that person's going to punch you. But in theory, we should have evolved past that. And anybody that thinks they're making a situation better by meeting words with violence is out of their ever-loving mind. Be fun to get Milo Yiannopoulos on the show, Funkhauser. I think that would be good. I think we could go a few rounds with that guy.
I can make some calls.
All right. Well, maybe we can do that. In the meantime,
he seems
let's
to have
talk
a lot
about
of friends here in the building.
Really?
Well,
I guess, yeah. No, I forget where we work sometimes. Do you really think to this day that's why Henry Rollins turned down being on the show?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, 100%.
You don't think he was just busy?
I don't think he was just busy, no. No one's too busy for a 5-minute phone call.
I don't know, but that's the thing, though. I mean, it's just...
He's very aware of what's up, so I'm sure... 100%.
We are peeling back the curtain a little bit here. We work in a building. We broadcast from a facility that... when I say I was tapped by the Grand Dragons of talk radio to be the next thing in the world of talk radio... I think I make myself clear. Look, there's a lot of people that have made glittering careers out of being extraordinarily right-wing that we work alongside with around here. And you know what's very interesting? You know what's really, really interesting? People talk about the lamestream media and like the lefty plot to usurp the right and all this sort of thing. And then they talk about how radio is divided into two distinct groups. And we all work for the same freaking company, basically. The same 3, 4, 5 companies are like, well, oh, man, they're so right-wing that you just can't get around them. They just have such an agenda. Oh, they're so left-wing. They have such an agenda. Like, every single time I go on the air and say anything about politics, I get accused of having a company agenda. These are just my thoughts. I'm spitballing off the top of my head. This is why we're doing what we're doing here. I was given this gig because people find me to be entertaining and thought other people might find me entertaining as well. At no point was I ever given a political directive of, you gotta lean right. And when I go on the alternative rock stations, the ones that people say are a bunch of lefty claptrap, no one has ever said to me, hey, really go after Trump today. Like, you got any good jokes about things that are orange? You know, like, and no, it's never once happened. You know what companies like this one kind of care about? Staying in the black, making money, you know. And oftentimes I get told to stay away from certain things like, oh, yeah, no, because everybody's got an opinion on the left and everybody's got an opinion on the right. And you just want to be everybody's friend. So stay away from it. It's so weird that everybody finds us to have like a plot, a scheme, a plan, an agenda, whether it's left or right. Now, in talk radio, you're going to have people that are left and people that are right. And that's just a thing. And that's people's viewpoints coming out. And you know what? Historically speaking, there's more dollars to be made off of being right wing on the radio than there has been to be made off of being left wing. Do you remember Air America Funkhauser?
Oh yeah,
yeah, but you're probably the only one. That was the big shot at left wing talk radio, and it didn't work. It didn't print, didn't make money. Who knows why? You know, you could go through bazillions of pages of stats and analytics about why things do or do not work in the world of entertainment. But it always amazes me when people sort of like go, "You've got an agenda because you work for this company." I was like, "Yes, my company does have an agenda." Yeah. Making money, staying in business. While radio stations are dying left, right, and center, we've somehow managed to flourish and grow and do all this stuff. And that's kind of what they care about, survival and making the loot. But it was to peel things back a little bit. You might have heard me say this on the show. Huge Henry Rollins fan. Love him. Like, honestly, huge part of my makeup is Black Flag records, Rollins Band records, and more importantly, his spoken word stuff. Like, I just can't get enough of that guy. If you ever get a chance to, please read the book Get in the Van. Or better yet, listen to the audiobook of Get in the Van. It's all about, well, it's basically Henry Rollins reading his diaries from the time that he was in Black Flag. And it's such an incredible first-person account of a really, really intense time for a band that just, like, it means so much to so many people. And even if you've never heard a note of Black Flag's music, it's wildly entertaining. I think it won a Grammy for Best Audio Book when it came out several years ago. But man, big fan of Henry Rollins. And, you know, here we are booking all the... Remember in the run-up to the election, we did that punk rock politics thing, and we got guys in Alice in Chains and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. We got Chuck D of Public Enemy. We got some of the guys from Cypress Hill, and we got... who else was on the show? Funkhauser.
Oh, just tons. You can check the podcast page and see them all.
Yeah, no, I mean, we did a great run of fantastic interviews with some truly A-list talent, people that we couldn't believe were coming on the show. So we think, oh, man... You know who really has some stuff to say? Henry Rollins. He makes a living off of having stuff to say. Let's try and get him on. And I can't tell you how cool it was to get rejected by Henry Rollins just because he personally rejected us. Like, Funkhauser sent me the email where it said, Barry, thank you for your interest. I will be unavailable. Best Henry. I was like, oh my God, we got an email from Henry Rollins. Fanboyed out hard to it. And I was like, do you think he's really busy? And Funkhauser was like, no. He saw the email address. He saw which company we are associated with, who we work for. He knows the type of radio that comes out of this building. And he was like, not on yours or anyone else's, Nelly. And I was like, so eventually we got to try and get him to understand that when we have people on this show, it's all about reasonable dialogue, and that I'm a huge fan, and maybe we'll get Henry Rollins back. But that was a big moment, Funkhauser, getting a personal rejection from Henry Rollins. How many emails had you gotten from Henry Rollins up to that point? Oh,
probably one. Maybe not even that, you know.
Wait, you got one? That was your second email from Henry Rollins?
Could have been, you know. He responds to his emails. He's easy to get. Henry@henry.com or something.
I feel like a little jealous that you were the guy that solicited it. You know, like Funkhauser's very big on doing the booking because, like, I'll forget, I'll see something shiny. I'll like whenever I reach out to someone, he's like, no, you're very disorganized. This will not go well. Tell me who you want in the show, and I will get them. I'm the producer. Leave it alone. So I'm like, Funkhauser, can we get Henry Rollins? And you know what? Had I known that he was going to respond personally, I would have sent that email because now you got an email from Henry Rollins.
Well, there's still
didn't.
time. You can right now. It's been a while. He's probably been solicited by several. Your AOL email address won't tip him off.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how serious you take press requests from an America Online.
He'd be like, ooh, an old school fool. Let me reply.
You know, it's interesting. Have you noticed how in sort of like business circles, if you work for a company, and your email address is like AOL or Yahoo or something like that, people look at it and go, what kind of rinky-dink company is this? How come it's Barry Funkhauser at AOL.com? Not a real email address, just so we're clear. Don't bother emailing him. But how come it's Barry Funkhauser at AOL.com instead of Barry Funkhauser at Funkhauser.com? That's, what people immediately think. I think Gmail is the great social equalizer. For some reason, if you email someone from a Gmail account, that's cool or that's okay. Or Gmail or Mac, like at Gmail or at Mac.com seems to be an acceptable business email address where AOL, Yahoo, Hotmail, all that sort of stuff. You look at it and go, what kind of rinky-dink outfit is this? Why is it? Would you take someone more seriously with a Gmail address than a Yahoo address? You would okay.
Well,
what do you think of this person?
Address? What if you get at hotmail.com? Do you think it's the Prince of Uganda asking for a bunch of money? When was the last time you got a Hotmail one?
The Hotmail, I like, a lot of people joke when they say Hotmail. Like when I get a winner at the radio station, like, hey, call to win tickets to see Blink-182 at the rodeo in Houston. All right, I need your phone number, your name, your email. And when they say at hotmail.com, they're like, I know, Hotmail. I'm like, I don't find that to be, I don't judge your Hotmail account. And maybe it's just because I'm in no position to judge because, America Online. So, anyways, that's that. Oh, I had something I was going to play you, Funkhauser. I'll play it to you.
You'll have
next.
to save it.
Milo Yiannopoulos has his ideas of women in society. So does comedian Billy Gardell, and it all comes from his relationship with his wife. We'll do that next.
Tonight it's all good in the 713. Whoa, 713. Whoa, 713. Whoa, 713. I was 212. Now it's 713. Here I am with the H-Town Jam. Came to the city with a master plan. H-Town is my home wherever I may roam. I return to the land of the Astrodome. People go against my TV Johnny. Treat you the same if you don't got money. Don't hurry up, I'm gonna look at you funny.
Houston's more stimulating talk radio, available anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app. Download it now at kprcradio.com. Now, more AD on the radio.
So if you're just joining us, we've been talking a little bit about this guy, Milo Yiannopoulos. In case you did not know, Milo Yiannopoulos is essentially like a black belt level troll that's made a pretty decent living out of doing it. He's like 32 years old. He came to America from England, and he realized that there's great money in doing the sort of things that he does. He is openly gay, but tells gay people to get back in the closet. He is somebody that says... He doesn't say that women are not equal. It's just a different form of equality. He has this idea, and he's sort of like a lot of English people that come over to America and criticize Americans. Like we said, Gordon Ramsay comes here, tells people we don't know how to cook in America. Simon Cowell comes over and says that we don't know how to sing. Piers Morgan comes over here and says, we don't know what the hell we're doing with our guns. And Milo Yiannopoulos comes over here and says, you don't know how to vote. You don't know what's right for America. I've been here for about a second and a half. Let me tell you. So that's his shtick. But I think one of the things that outraged people was his attitude toward women in sciences. He said that in places where you have higher levels of equality, women, like there's this idea that women aren't given a shot in technical fields, engineering, sciences, stuff like that. It's a hard place for a woman to make a career because of the built-in institutionalized sexism that goes with the territory. And old Milo's argument is in places with greater equality, you see less females going into science because their brains just aren't built that way. They're not the same as men. He says that there are gender-specific ways in which brains work and that the male brain is more likely to be good at things like science and engineering. And that obviously has people losing their minds saying, hold, this has nothing to do with equality. What are you saying? And he's like, it's just science, man. You guys are always quoting science. Why can't it just be science, man? So, like, he says that women don't think as technically as men do, and that's a big tenet of what he does and what he says to stir the pot and incite those big checks at speaking engagements. I think that women are every bit as smart, if not in so much smarter than men. I think that women are every bit as smart and just so much more technically advanced than men. And if you're looking for evidence, I would point to comedian Billy Gardell talking about his wife.
Right, my wife is starting to do it to me. Yeah, you gotta lose some weight. My wife's getting sneaky about it, though. She doesn't bug me about my weight anymore. She's just getting sneaky. She's starting to wrap leftovers in aluminum foil because it's noisy. Yeah, that's sneaky. I'm out there at 2 a.m. like a safecracker trying to get a piece of pizza, man. You don't hear them coming up. What are you doing? Put a bell on you so I know where you're at. And it's years of that progression to where they get to the point where they can do it to you without you knowing. I watch it happen down at my dad's house. My stepmom messes with him every morning by asking him a question that makes no sense just to get his blood pressure going. She'll come in the room and go, you want a sandwich, ham, or turkey? He'll go, ham. She'll go, we don't have any ham. You actually see his brain lock up. Then he'll mumble into the garage. Why the would you ask me about a ham sandwich? You don't have any ham. It's like living with a lunatic.
So there you go. If Milo Yiannopoulos says that the female brain isn't as capable of technical thinking, I would point him to that. They're so much smarter than us, Funkhauser. They will outfox us at absolutely every single turn. And in no way, shape, or form should you have the unmitigated arrogance or hubris to think that you can outthink a woman because you can't. You just cannot. Operating at a higher level. All right, Funkhauser, let's do some news.
Bay's in the news, Bay. Beyonce.
Oh.
That's how you say it, right? Bay?
I don't know. But
Bay's having a bay.
That's right up there with you
two bays.
Saying my science instead of Miley Cyrus. I'm not.
I'm just too lazy to say the whole name.
So what about Beyonce?
She's pregnant with twins.
Oh. I believe she and Jay-Z are already flipping through paint swatches in search of baby names.
You see everybody taking pictures like Beyonce, like taking comedic, similar pictures in front of flowers with
because like she released a pregnancy photo.
Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't seen the pregnancy photo. Now we know that erectile dysfunction is not one of Jay-Z's 99 problems, and he's getting up there too. He's like 48, something like that. So good job. Yeah, Hove in the building. That's terrible impersonation. I need to work on that a lot, or never do it again. I think I'm going to opt to never do it again.
Do what I do and just keep doing it.
Yeah. Do it once. It's a bad impersonation. Do it twice, 3 times, 4 times. It becomes Funkhauser's hilariously terrible impersonation of somebody. I see what you did there. Go on.
Yesterday in New York, Kim Kardashian testified in front of a Paris judge in a robbery case.
Took an oath. See that? Interestingly enough, when she took that oath, when she put her hand on the Bible, I think that marked the first time since high school that she touched a book. You thought I was going to make a bursting into flames joke. I didn't. I went the other way. Yep, that's why I make the medium dollars. Go on.
On the TV show Bates Motel, Rihanna will play the woman Norman Bates kills in the shower. Spoiler alert, come on!
Well, I mean, I think it's a classic scene that's being recreated. Like, you see Norman Bates going toward a shower curtain with a knife, you know what's coming next. It's not like... I don't know if that really qualifies as a spoiler alert.
Oh, wait,
where
so
Rihanna...
The sound is re, and it's Rihanna?
Yeah. There you go. Re. That makes perfect sense.
It's her next single.
It's a role she was born to play. Where she'll find the motivation to act like a woman who's being attacked by a psychotic male, I have no idea. Oh, wait. There it is. Go on.
Johnny Depp spends $30,000 a month on wine.
Oh. $30,000 a month on wine?
Mm-hmm.
Would that imply that you're drinking $30,000 a month worth of wine?
That guy throws killer parties, bro.
I mean, yeah. Well, and also, like, if you like good wine, I don't know anything about it. I don't drink, and nor do I have money to spend on beverages. But, like, wine could get up there, so it doesn't necessarily mean he's drinking a lot. Interestingly enough, he spends another $2,000 on clothing that makes him look like he drinks $5 bottles of it out of paper bags.
You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away.
Real radio. 104.1.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is.
The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
All right, Funkhauser, let's just ride the news off into the sunset today.
Well, yeehaw to that. Johnny Depp's ex-managers say he spends more than $2 million per month.
Wow. Not a cent of it. Not a cent of it on people to read scripts and tell him whether or not it'll be an embarrassing travesty for his career. Did you ever see him in The Lone Ranger?
No.
They got him to play Tonto. Like, I think Johnny Depp was Tonto, and he was clearly the star of the production. The movie tanked, and I loved The Lone Ranger. I grew up loving The Lone Ranger. Like, Lone Ranger, in case you did not know, is an interesting one because as much as there were TV shows and movies and all that sort of stuff, Lone Ranger started as a radio show. Like, did you know? All right, this is an interesting one, Funkhauser. You probably know because you know literally everything about radio. But Lone Ranger started as a radio drama. You know that?
I did.
And you know Green Hornet started as a radio drama.
That I did know also.
All right. So what's interesting is Green Hornet, same creators as Lone Ranger. And at one point, there was reference in an episode of Green Hornet. There was a reference to the fact that the Green Hornet was a descendant of the Lone Ranger. Pretty cool, right? Did you know that?
I did not know that. You got one. There you go.
See? I know stuff sometimes. But yeah, I love the Lone Ranger. Grew up loving the Lone Ranger. Listened to the radio plays. Like my uncle was like this radio guy, so he had a bunch of old timey radio stuff around the house, and I used to listen to the Lone Ranger plays. Then would watch the Lone Ranger cartoons that you could rent from the VHS store that came from the 1970s and were terrible, but you just loved them. And then watch movies. Anything like Lone Ranger. He's a cowboy with a mask. He's sort of a cross between a cowboy and a superhero. What does anybody want to be when they're a 5-year-old boy? They want to be a cowboy or a superhero. Oh crap! This guy's both. It's awesome. It's so cool. And I wanted so badly to go to the new Lone Ranger movie and love it. I saw the previews and saw Johnny Depp doing this. I'm not Native American, so I'm not in a position to judge. But I saw him doing sort of like what I thought was a vaguely offensive, stereotypical portrayal of a Native American and went, that's going to suck. I don't even have to. All I got to see is the first couple of lines of dialogue of Johnny Depp being Tonto, and that's. And you know what? Everybody who saw it said it sucked. So out of the $2 million Johnny Depp spends every single month, like I said, not one of those is on somebody to effectively read scripts for him and make decisions. Go on. What else?
Charlotte McKinney says she considered a breast reduction.
Charlotte McKinney.
Ooh, Google. Listen to Google. Here we go.
To Google.
Get off the company Wi-Fi just in case. And ooh, la,
she's from Orlando, Florida.
Oh,
I know this girl. She's like the she's like the one you get when you,
girl.
Yeah, she's the one you get when you can't afford Kate Upton. Like, I think. You know.
Sorry if her mom's listening in Orlando.
Oh yeah, sorry.
He didn't mean it.
Because like everybody was like, "Hey, this girl looks like Kate Upton," but yeah, no.
I think she's hotter.
I didn't say she wasn't hot, but she's, you know, you go Kate Upton, you go, I know who that is. You go Charlotte McKinney, you go, who? And like, sort of looks like Kate Upton. It must be so weird to have a look that looks like somebody else, and then, you know, they get all the work because they got there first with that look, and literally, like, you're the same age, you look the same, you got, you know, possibly share some DNA and all this sort of stuff, and, you know, Charlotte McKinney becomes a person that you get when you can't afford Kate Upton. It's weird.
Fine by me.
I'm not saying one is hotter than the other, but I'm going to go out on a limb and guess it costs more to hire Kate Upton. Charlotte McKinney should have done the cat daddy dance first. Hold on, let's all think about the cat daddy dance. Thinking about it. Yeah, still awesome. She considered a breast reduction?
She did. Yes, she did. I don't know why she would, but...
Well, you know... I could imagine, look, I'm not insensitive to the plight of the generously endowed female.
Careful.
Like, I would imagine that you're lugging some stuff around that other people don't have to lug around. And, you know, people talk about back pain and stuff like that. But, like, there's so much money wrapped up in those right now. She's known as the girl that looks like Kate Upton with bigger cans. And, you know, if she goes in for a reduction, I would imagine that... That's why people are hiring her right now. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm saying her price will probably go down if she gets a breast reduction. Yes, I would imagine that. So that's probably why she went ahead and did not do that. By the way, just being clear on this, I don't think that's necessarily fair. I don't think that's necessarily right. But men are fixated on this sort of thing. And she's got those sort of things like you wouldn't believe. So therefore, potato. Go on.
Steve Miller and Peter Frampton are touring together this summer.
Oh, that's great news, said no one under 60. I would totally go to that show.
I would be down for that, too.
I would totally.
Let's go, man.
I love Steve Miller. Steve Miller, to me, is like I love Steve Miller because, like, you think of great rock voices, and you don't think Steve Miller. He's kind of got this, like, laid-back thing where he's never screaming or yelling at you. You know? He rocks, but never too hard. He's easy to take. Listen to his voice. So good. Why would you not love this? Okay, start singing now.
This is the intro version.
His intros are too long.
Coming up later, real classic rock right here.
Coming at ya, Steve Miller Band. Oh, really? Still? We're waiting on him still? Is this the instrumental?
No, dude, this is the version in the thing.
Boy, people had a lot more time on their hands back in those days. All right,
here we
now,
go. Here it comes.
Steve Miller Band coming at you, WTKS. Holy crap!
Okay, I give up.
Wait. Did you find, like, the karaoke version?
No, it's the one in the system.
I bet no vocals come in. Let's just listen. I'll be surprised.
Oh, here it goes.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Miller Band coming at ya. There you go. What a great voice.
Been down before, riding along on this big old jet plane. I've been thinking about my home.
I think that's all we're allowed to play of it legally, Funkhauser. Man, but, like, I love his voice. It's so laid back. He's not trying hard. He's not screaming it. Like, Steve Miller never would have gotten past the first, like, along with folks like Bob Dylan and Tom Petty, never would have gotten past the first round of American Idol, but has one of rock's great voices that people love to listen to.
Little pitchy dog.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you I was asked to be a judge at a local preliminary round of American Idol?
Did you do it? I hope you did.
Yeah, of course I did it. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, it was I was in Houston, and it wasn't even Houston. It was like a town about an hour away from Houston called Beaumont, which is oil town, but nothing. I love Beaumont. I had a really good time every time I went there because I had that TV show and it was on the air in a couple of different markets up to and including Beaumont. And so the Fox affiliate that carried my show were like, hey, you want to come in and judge a preliminary round of American Idol? And I'm not a watcher of American Idol. I'm not. And or I wasn't. I guess the show's not on anymore. But it was me, the lead singer of Hinder, remember Hinder, Lips of an Angel? And then some local guitar teacher or something like that. And I remember someone would sing and I didn't know what to say. I really didn't know what to say.
What did the Hinder guy do?
I think drank heavily throughout the entire process. I think. I can't remember. But, and I knew him. At the time I was also in this band and we toured, we did a tour with Papa Roach and Hinder. So me and him know each other and we're like, what are you doing here? He's like, I don't know. They offered me a plane ticket and a hotel room and I had to get out of the house. My wife's driving me crazy. I was like, okay, what are you doing here? I was like, well, they carry my TV show. He's like, oh, so you actually have a purpose here? I was like, not really. It just seemed like a fun idea at the time, And so, we're sitting there going, what do we do? What do we say? I was like, do you watch American Idol? He's like, hell no, I don't watch American Idol. That's the antithesis of everything that rock and roll is about. And I was just like, yeah, me either. And, we both look up American Idol on our phones. And all we kept saying when people sang Less Than Amazingly, which you got to imagine was pretty frequently in Beaumont, Texas, at a preliminary round of American Idol.
Bit pitchy, dog.
We kept being like, it's a little pitchy. Yeah, I noticed you being a little pitchy. Seem pitchy. That was my, to this day, I've never watched an episode of American Idol, but I've been on one.
Yeah, but have you talked to the guy from Hinder since then?
No, he's not in Hinder anymore. He quit or they kicked him out. He was actually a nice guy. All the guys in Hinder, I have to tell you, nice as pie. They had this moment where they had 8 singles. And whether you liked them or not, you had to admit that they set the world on fire for 2 albums time. Just hit after hit after hit after hit. And they were loving every minute of it, having so much fun with it, and they were just really decent, hardworking guys that were songwriters. Really, they were really into country music.
You can hear that in that too.
Yeah, absolutely. They're totally into country music, and
bit pitchy, dog.
Actually, no, that guy can really sing. Yeah, he has some pipes. So they were not necessarily in my bag, but very, very talented songwriters and musicians and singers that could really sing and really play and managed to catch lightning in the bottle with 2 albums and just had the best time doing it. Really, really did. Nicest humans on the face of the planet. Good guys. Would never say a word against them. There you go. That's my take on Hinder.
Because I wouldn't be able to get through my day without your take on Hinder.
It's the essential facts that we bring you on this show. Hey, man, you asked.
I did. And dang it, I learned something. Dang it.
See, there you go.
Thanks a lot.
Let's learn more stuff, more news.
Hooters.
I think that's about as much as we can get away with talking about Hinder in any one show.
No, let's go for another 12. Oh, Hinder. Hooters is opening a new chain called Hoots, where servers are not scantily clad women.
Do you like any of the food?
No.
Yeah.
You put up with the food, right?
I don't care for that situation.
Always uncomfortable.
Yeah, talk about things that lots of Americans wish were fake news. But I always would laugh because the 2 or 3 times that I've been to a Hooters, it was because it was there and it was open. Like, I don't get anything out of the waitress situation. I really don't. Like, those weird flesh-colored tights that they make them wear, like, what the hell is that? It's so strange. And also, I'm not there to, like, look at the waitress and go, damn, you're hot. You know, I'm there because it's just like, go to a strip club.
A little bit creepy.
I'm not there to be a creeper.
Nice
and the other
chicken
thing
wings.
is, like... Okay, what kind of chicken do you want? A breast? I could really go for a breast. Maybe 2 chickens. Just like, come on, it's so played out. And you feel terrible for the chicks doing it, but then they also try and like, hey, would you like to buy a calendar? Are you sure? I can't make my rent this month unless you buy a calendar. And it's just like, such a weird thing. So for those that do enjoy the chicken wings at Hooters, but don't want to deal with trying to be upsold on calendars and shot glasses, there now exists Hoots. Good for you.
Yay! Let's go. And then throw up afterward.
You know how a lot of times you feel like it's cool to turn the other cheek.